What if I told you that the soft life was possible for you? And that for a lot of you, you already have many of the tools that you need to craft your soft life. Sometimes all it takes is a little more effort and a little more strategy to unlock the soft life and truly live life with more ease and less stress. Well, in this video, that is exactly what I'm going to cover. I have 9 money habits that I want you to build, but these aren't just any other habits. They are elevated habits. Elevated habits are the next level version of the basics. It's not just about doing what's right with your money logistically, but also doing what feels aligned, intentional, and meaningful. Hello and welcome back to my channel. For those new here, my name is Lissa and I'm a personal finance expert and a certified financial planner. I teach personal finance and how to live an abundant life. Now, before we jump into that list of 9 elevated money habits that I want you to learn, let's first talk about what exactly is the soft life. Well, there are 2 general definitions floating around, 2 different schools of thought, and only one of them, in my opinion, is the real one. So let's start with the incorrect version. This is the definition of the soft life that portrays it as only this: expensive things, upscale experiences, things that look beautiful, modern, clean, and this very beautiful aesthetic that is just effortless to attain. Think travel, designer items, popping champagne, riding in private jets. I don't know who rides private jets. Actually, to be fair, I know some friends who have. I still haven't in my life, but that's a story for another day. Now, this is the version of the soft life that I call incorrect because I think it's been tainted by social media. I'm not gonna lie, it looks visually pleasing. I love the aesthetic. But I also think it carries a lot of energy that doesn't embody the actual concept of what it means to live a soft life. I think that the soft life is a lot deeper than that visual aesthetic, which leads me to the second definition, and in my opinion, the correct one, in that a soft life is a lifestyle rooted in ease, in intention, in joy, and self-respect. According to a Forbes article, the term soft life originated in the Nigerian influencer community. It was described as a relaxed, uncomplicated lifestyle that values peace over hustle culture. So in a sense, I feel like it started out as a rebellion against capitalism and that ingrained belief that we're all taught to have, especially here in America, that we always have to be productive. We always have to be earning money. Like, that is our goal in life, is to be productive members of society at all costs. And if we do so, we reap the rewards out of it, which is money. Now, there's also a TikTok creator, The Embodied Goddess, who goes a step further and defines it as denouncing hustle culture. She says specifically that you should not confuse it with luxury culture, which I believe is that visual aesthetic that I alluded to earlier. Now, let me give you one more definition. I don't really like turning to Urban Dictionary for definitions, but it is what it is. So one of the definitions says, a soft life is where you make decisions that leave you feeling stress-free and vibrating higher. It's less about wealth, although it helps, and more about making good choices. I like that specific call out because even though unlocking a soft life should not have to require a lot of money and wealth, in a lot of ways, money and wealth definitely helps. We all know that. And if you are a regular on my channel, y'all know that money is a tool that can provide us access to more of the things in life that can bring us joy and happiness and comfort and ease, that peace of mind that really embodies the true concept of a soft life. So, unfortunately, these definitions, the correct definitions, in my opinion, of the soft life, these definitions have evolved over the last few years with the help of social media. That's why a lot of people now use it as a synonym for a luxurious life, one that has a very specific aesthetic, luxury things, material items, luxury experiences. And it's all because the soft life went through a failed game of telephone. One person's interpretation of the concept shifts the whole definition, then another person tweaks it, and then suddenly the meaning is distorted. So I had to set the stage because I want us to return to that OG definition where the focus is on the internal soft life. It's rooted within ourselves. It's rooted in calm, in making intentional choices and decisions, and finding inner peace. So yes, external things like money and what the money can buy us can absolutely supplement that soft life, but I don't think it should be the center of attention. So for now, let's push that external version of the soft life to the side. We'll come back to it later, meaning the luxury homes, the first class flights, not having to lift a finger, but it just comes to you abundantly somehow, or by marrying somebody rich. Right? It's not because these things aren't cool or they don't matter, but it's simply because even if this is the stuff that you believe is going to bring you joy and inner peace, I still think your soft life should be guided by your own sense of alignment. Long story short, that whole ramble I just did, it has to come from within. So let's talk about these 9 elevated money habits that are going to help you unlock your soft life. Number 1. Create financial goals with a clear why. So the regular money habit that me and other financial experts always talk about is to have financial goals. I think a lot of you watching this probably have some. Goals like buying a home, or saving for an early retirement, or investing for long-term wealth. That is a great start. Research shows that when you write out your goals or you say them out loud, you are way more likely to follow through and achieve them. So quick story, I remember the first time I ever spoke with a financial advisor. This was over 10 years ago. I started to make more money, didn't know anything about it, and this is literally what happened. One of the first things they asked me was, what are your goals? What are your financial goals? And I was like, my goal is to have more money. Are you going to help me do that? And they kept asking me, and I didn't really understand what they meant until they started listing things like retire early, start a family, buy a home, invest in real estate, start a business. I could not piece together that the whole reason they needed to know this was because that information of knowing what your goal is and when you might need that money is gonna impact where you invest your money and how you grow it so that you can hit that goal. So setting financial goals is very important, whether you are working with a financial advisor or simply trying to have more direction with your financial decisions. But the elevated money habit that I want to talk about is going a step further. I want you to go deeper. For every financial goal that you have, I need you to understand your why. It's not just about naming the goal. I want you to know what the emotional driver is behind that goal. You want to buy a house? Okay, why? What's it going to mean for you? What value is it going to bring to your life? Why is it important to you? If you've ever taken one of my workshops, or if you have checked out my beginner course, Hello Money Bootcamp, you'll know that the very first exercise I have people do is to not only write out their financial goals, but to do an exercise where you are digging into the why and defining it before doing anything else. So think about it. If your goal is to buy a home, take a sabbatical, go back to school, upgrade to a nicer car, simply ask yourself, why this? Why now? What would it change in my life? As you ask yourself these questions, you're going to realize that some of these goals you have are somebody else's goals. Maybe it's your parents' goals. Maybe it's your partner's goals or a friend's goals. Or maybe you reaffirm that the goals that you are setting are completely for your benefit and will add value to your life. Knowing your why is not only going to become a motivating factor to you, it's going to help you when you actually reach the goal. You're going to recognize it, you're going to feel it, you're going to appreciate it. It's not just going to be a fleeting feeling. You're going to know everything it took to get there, and it's going to confirm why you chose to aim for that in the first place. So this is what I think unlocking the soft life really is. It's not just about achieving more and trying to get more things, but it's achieving things, the things you want in life, with intentionality, with peace, and with purpose. Number 2. Visualize your ideal retirement. So a very regular money tip that we experts like to talk about is that you should be saving for the future, saving for your retirement. For those of you in the United States, that might look like putting money into a 401k or an IRA or another type of retirement account that comes with tax benefits or otherwise. If you're based in another country, it's whatever your country's standard retirement planning looks like. In general, though, typically when we talk about planning for retirement, we're talking about putting money into an investment and praying and hoping that it's going to be enough by the time we hit our 60s or 70s when we're ready to stop working and just live life. So for a lot of people, retirement feels far away. It feels vague. It might even feel out of reach depending on whether or not you've started saving for it or know anything about it. Because of this, a lot of people either avoid thinking about it, or the other extreme is just assume that it's gonna work out. So the elevated habit that I want you to do beyond just saving for retirement is to go a level deeper. I want you to visualize what your ideal retirement looks like. Even if you're not sure how you're gonna get there, right? Even if you can't picture yourself stepping back from the 9-to-5 grind and being productive, I want you to think about and visualize what would it look like and feel like to have more of your time back, to have more control of your time, to reclaim it. Things you can think about are, what do your days look like? Are you fully retired or are you partially working? What age would you like this to be? Are you going to take mini sabbaticals and mini retirements throughout your career? Maybe to take a break and rest or to travel? Or are you going to go strong until that eventual retirement later on in your 50s, 60s, 70s, or whatever age? So here's the truth. Even financial advisors, financial planners, we can't ever fully predict what retirement investments will be with perfect accuracy, right? We can't control the market. We don't know how much these various accounts will grow. And we don't know what the economy is going to look like 5, 10, 20 years from now, let alone 5 minutes from now. All that said, I still believe that you can plan for your exit from a traditional 40-hour work week without having to know every detail. So I have a quick thought. I won't say I always think about this, but it does come to mind. But if you think about it, we have all been programmed to believe that we have to work 40 hours a week. It's this work schedule that became a thing a long time ago, I believe during the Industrial Revolution. Realistically, nowadays, people are clocking in way more hours than that, especially for people who work corporate jobs. But I want you to imagine this. Let's say, by chance, that starting tomorrow, you only have to work 20 hours a week. Half the amount of time you work now, but you get the same salary. What would you actually do with those other freed up 20 hours? Would you finally sign up for a class you've been meaning to take? Would you start working out more? Would you take that time to cook more? Or would you try to fill that time with more work so that you can earn even more money? So there is no wrong answer here, but I simply want you to get curious about the why. For example, if you would keep working and find more jobs and more ways to make money, is it because you just want more? Or is it because you're passionate about working? Or is it because we've been trained to believe that free time has to be filled in with more productivity? So let me come back from my little tangent. I just want to say that visualizing what your ideal retirement looks like is a great exercise to do, because the soft life isn't just about leaving work one day in the distant future and finally being able to live peacefully. It's about slowly reclaiming your time now and crafting your life in the way that you want it to be. And as you're able to free up more time for yourself, it's about being intentional about how you want to spend that time. Your soft life is about figuring out what can bring you inner peace and how you can attain it. So the sooner you can visualize and picture what a peaceful life looks for you, where it's not centered around hustle culture and you utilize more of your time to bring yourself joy, the sooner you can visualize all that, the sooner you can start shaping your life to go in that direction. Elevated money habit number 3, build an everyday luxury fund. So the regular money habit that I talk about in pretty much every other video that I have is to build an emergency fund. And then beyond your emergency fund, it's to divide your spending into different buckets, right? Your needs, your wants, your various savings goals, maybe a little fun money. And I think these are great foundational habits when it comes to budgeting and creating a spending plan, which is why I talk about them all the time. They are logistic things you can do with your finances that work. Saving for emergencies and organizing your money this way gives you structure, it lowers stress, and it keeps your financial life moving forward. But the elevated habit that I want to talk about is to go beyond just planning for survival, and in addition, create what I call your everyday luxury fund. This is a flexible bucket of money that you save for and set aside for all of the little things that make your life feel luxurious on a daily basis. So I want to circle back to something I mentioned at the very beginning of the video, which is how social media has turned the soft life into basically a highlight reel of designer things, elevated luxury experiences, and a very specific aesthetic. Now, to be clear, I told y'all I like that aesthetic. It's very beautiful to me. And I think those things can be part of your soft life if that's what genuinely brings you joy and you know the why behind why you want them. But a quick call out here is what truly unlocks your soft life is not copying someone else's version of luxury or soft or happiness. It's truly defining it on your own terms. So just acknowledge that luxury doesn't always have to be loud or expensive or something that people can see. Going back to the correct definition of the soft life that we talked about earlier, a lot of times it's ease, it's peace, it's comfort. So if there are things, whether it's material things or experiences in your life that help you feel comfort and calm and peace and more aligned with who you believe you are, then it makes sense to incorporate those things into your life. So quick story. I had a moment a few years ago when I was going through my expenses and I realized that I was already living a luxurious life. I just never labeled it that way. At the time, I had never flown first class and I did not have a collection of designer handbags. It wasn't that visual aesthetic of luxury that I keep talking about. But what I realized was I was getting a massage every month. I was buying new snacks at the grocery store whenever I felt like it. I was paying money to play in basketball leagues and tennis leagues for fun. It was these things that I realized were lifestyle choices, things that bring me joy and happiness and comfort. And at that point, I never considered myself to be rich or wealthy or living the soft life. I did come to that realization that I wasn't simply planning for some distant upgraded life, that I was already living pieces of it right now. So that's just an example of the power of having an everyday luxury fund. Similar to having an emergency fund, you're gonna pick an amount, typically way less than an emergency fund. So think a couple $100s, maybe a couple thousand if you want. And then you have it there that you can dip into when you find these joys throughout your life that feel like everyday luxury. As you do this, you're gonna refine your own personal definition of what the soft life is for you. And you might even realize, like me, that you're already living it, or at least parts of it, or that you're on the right track there. So on the logistical side, like I said, pick an amount, could be $200, $500, $3,000, whatever feels right for your current season and your current financial situation, and then keep it in either a dedicated account or spending bucket. Then when you come across little luxuries in life that bring you joy, you're able to spend on those things guilt-free. Elevated money habit number 4, prioritize your health. This one I feel is very personal because I see it all the time with clients, with friends, even family, and I've done this myself in the past. People are constantly sacrificing their health, and a lot of times it's usually for one of two money-related reasons. Number 1, to save money, or number 2, because they're too busy trying to make more money. And like I said, this was me in the past, so I'm definitely not here to judge. I know that the cost of everything is rising, and when you're working toward financial freedom and you really, really want your finances to be in a good place, it's very easy to either tighten every single dollar by not spending, even if you need to go to the doctor and you do need medication or you do need to see a therapist. Or it's very easy to burn yourself out, affecting your mental health, emotional health, and your physical health because you're trying to make more and more money. I simply think that it is a very elevated habit that's going to help you unlock this soft life if you prioritize your health. Don't neglect your health. So the regular money habit that I often see is people trying to make smart money decisions, to save money by putting off doctor's visits, by canceling gym memberships, or choosing the cheapest insurance, or not seeing doctors or specialists that are more expensive because either insurance doesn't cover it or because it simply adds up. Unfortunately, even though some of these strategies can save you money in the short term, oftentimes they lead to a longer term impact on your finances. The elevated habit that I want you to do here is to treat your health like an investment. It's not optional, it is for your future. So that means you make sure to budget for things and make smart decisions that support your physical health, your mental health, and your emotional well-being. Your health is very similar to your wealth. You want to be proactive about it. The worst thing in a financial crisis is that you didn't prepare and have an emergency fund, and now an emergency has happened and you got nothing. Similar but different to your health. It takes being proactive about living a healthy lifestyle, being active, having good nutrition, getting a lot of sleep, as opposed to years and years of doing the opposite and then it being too late when you end up getting sick or your body has shut down. Bottom line, prioritize your health. Number 5, create a money ritual. This one is pretty straightforward. The regular habit that I always tell people is to set up a money date with yourself. This is a recurring check-in that you use to work on your finances. You can make it 30 minutes, you can make it an hour. And you can do it every week or you could do it once a month. Whatever it is, make it a regular, consistent habit and use this time to improve your finances. Different things you can do: pay your bills during this time, review your spending or your budget, or journal about money so that you can start building a better self-awareness about your relationship with money. That is the regular habit. The elevated habit is to turn that money date into more of a money ritual. Something that's not just productive, but something that fills your cup, something that nourishes you. Maybe during this money date, you light a candle, you play some music that makes you feel grounded or that hypes you up. Maybe you use your favorite pen and your favorite journal. If you can make this money ritual an act of self-care and not a chore, you're going to look forward to doing it. It's not going to be something you avoid or push out because you don't want to do it. And in the long run, the more you put into your personal finances, the more it's going to bring back to you. Number 6, find time for soft moments. So the regular money habit, or I would actually say just a regular life habit, is to be more efficient, to work smarter, not harder. When it comes to your finances, this might mean freeing up your time by automating your bills, batching your tasks, saying no to things that drain you, and saying no to spending on things that you don't care about. I think that's great. I think efficiency in life can give you back more time. Efficiency with your finances can give you more money back. But what I want you to do is to take this habit a step further. The elevated habit is to use that freed up time with intention. This is what I mean about finding soft moments in your everyday life. Earlier, we talked about an everyday luxury fund, which is actually spending on experiences and items that can promote joy and ease in your life. But what I'm talking about here is specifically about a feeling. It's bringing attention to and finding gratitude for all the small intentional moments in your life that bring you peace, that slow down your life, and that bring you joy. In my own life, over the past 5 years, I feel like I've been quietly crafting my own version of the soft life. And honestly, it is pure testament that it is nothing like what you see on social media with that aesthetic of what the soft life is supposed to be. But I want to share a little bit with you because to me, it feels like peace. And just to note on the side that I'm at a point in my life where I am making the least amount of money I've ever made on a yearly basis at the moment. And interestingly, I also weigh the heaviest that I ever have in my life at this moment. Story for another day. But all that to say, I have those things going on, but I still feel very peaceful in my life. So here are a few elements of my life just to give you a peek into what I believe feels soft. First is I don't wake up to an alarm on most days. So 6 days out of the week, sometimes 7 days out of the week, I do not have an alarm on. As some of you know, a few years ago, I took a leap from my corporate job to build my own business, which means I now set my own schedule. And even though I'm not making as much money as I used to in the tech world, at least not yet, I'm genuinely so much happier. I sleep better. I don't have those crazy nightmares about missing an alarm because I craft my day so that I don't have to use an alarm. Another example is I make breakfast every day without feeling the need to rush, which is crazy because I can hardly remember the days I used to work in corporate where I would skip breakfast or just scarf something down really quick because I knew I had to get to work. Now I'm very grateful that I get to slow down and cook for myself. And the last thing I'll share is, as of the last few years, now every morning before I even touch my computer or look at emails, I move my body in some way. I do a workout, I do yoga, I stretch, I take a walk, and I rarely, if ever, feel like I'm in a rush. So as you can see, these aren't grand gestures, and maybe for you, they don't qualify as having the soft life, but for me, these are very intentional areas of my life that I'm happy for, that I'm grateful for, that I feel a lot of peace with. So if you can define what these soft moments are for you, I think you'll start to see that you already are on that path to crafting and unlocking your own soft life. Number 7, incorporate joy into your plan. So the regular money habit is to have a spending plan, or what people call a budget. And yes, having a plan for your money is a very solid foundational personal finance step or tip. When you have a budget or a spending plan, it helps you live within your means, it helps you avoid overspending, and it helps you prevent financial stress down the line. The elevated habit that I want you to have is to go beyond restriction and intentionally incorporate joy into your plan. I kind of alluded to it earlier when I mentioned having an everyday luxury fund, but I want the focus here to be on intentionality. It's great to be disciplined with your spending. It's great to restrict yourself if you tend to overspend or regret things that you spend on. But I'm also a big believer that if you don't leave some room in your budget for small pleasures, it's gonna be hard to stick to it. So if you can do 2 very simple things with your budget, I think this will go a long way in crafting your soft life. 1, stop spending on the things that don't bring you joy. And 2, incorporate the things that do. So long as they fit within your budget, you're still living within your means, and you're not negatively impacting the rest of your finances, this becomes the game. It's the challenge that you have to face. It's how do you find the balance for you in your life of spending on the right amount of joy. Elevated money habit number 8. Build a life that you can sustain. The regular habit, money habit, is to save and invest. And saving and investing is going to help you build your wealth gradually over time. That's going to give you a solid foundation. Now, the elevated money habit that I want you to think about, if you want to sustain your ideal life, your soft life into the long term, is to holistically improve your finances. This is not an overnight task, but this is the best way to not only craft your ideal life and what you want it to look like and feel like, but it'll help you sustain it in the long run. You don't want to take 2 steps forward, 10 steps backwards. You want to continuously move forward and prepare things in your financial life holistically so that you'll always be in a good place. So I'll give you some examples, and I kind of split things into logistical, practical things that you should consider, as well as mindset and emotional related things. So to build your soft life and make sure it's sustainable, you want to have all of your ducks in a row logistically. Those are things like having a solid emergency fund, having a good spending plan, having good financial goals and knowing your why, having the right insurance coverage, and continuing to learn how you can improve over the long term. And on the mindset, emotional side, this comes down to improving your relationship with money. These two sides to your finances are what I call big wealth energy. So if you can continuously improve both the practical side and the emotional side of money, you're going to be in a good place to craft the life that you want to live. And not only that, but sustain it into the future. All right, we are at the end of the list. The elevated money habit, to wrap up the list, is to acknowledge your path as your own. So the regular habit that we often talk about and that we often hear a lot is, stop comparing your progress to everyone else. Do you. Don't focus on someone else. Just keep making progress for yourself. I think that's very important because I think constant comparison takes away from your own joy and makes you feel behind people, even when you're not behind anyone. Who are you behind? But the elevated habit that I want you to do is to go a step further. I want you to acknowledge that your path is your own, and I want you to accept wherever you are in your journey to the soft life as where you are. In my opinion, I think that there are 3 major entry points into a soft life. I should have said this at the beginning of the video, but here we are. I think number 1, you could be born into wealth, and by very nature, you have the money to support a life where you can just live very easily, at peace, without having to be productive. Number 2, you can experience some form of luck, like a major windfall or an inheritance or sudden success in your career. Number 3, another entry point for most people into the soft life is building it yourself through hard work, which seems counterintuitive, but it's not, and making intentional choices. So if you were not born into money and you haven't gotten that, lucky lottery jackpot yet, it means you're probably walking that third path. And I want you to know that that's okay. You have to own it, you have to acknowledge it, you have to accept it, and you got to keep going. If you can accept that this is your path, this is your timeline, it's not for anyone else to judge, that's going to unlock so much freedom for you mentally and financially. You're going to stop shaming yourself or feeling behind in life. You're simply going to start living a version of life that has soft moments or that you already consider to be the soft life. So that's it. That is the full list of 9 elevated money habits that I believe is going to help you craft the life that you want to live of more ease, more joy, less stress, and yes, those elevated luxury experiences if that's what you want. No judgment at all. I hope this was helpful. Until next time, peace out.